afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Ms. Nestor.
I don't believe you and I have ever met, but I am Kathy, Kathy Nestor, and I'm one of Ms. Richins' attorneys. So it's nice to meet you. So I want to just kind of start with a basic observation, but just to make it crystal clear. You are not law enforcement, correct?
Correct.
And you've never been law enforcement in your whole life, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the rules and ethics and expected practices of private investigators are significantly different, would you agree with me, than those that apply to licensed law enforcement?
I don't know that I would agree with that in every circumstance. A private investigator, when he is hired by a lawyer, is bound to all the ethics that that lawyer is bound to.
Okay.
So,
But, for example, you don't have to go get a warrant to go look at a house.
well, right, that's the state action distinction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not a state actor.
Right.
I've never been a state actor.
Right.
I will never be a state actor.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to go search a house for 6 straight days and look at thousands of documents, you don't need to get a judge to give you permission to do that, right?
No, I got the permission of Kouri's lawyers who represented her to do that.
And you also got the permission of Clint Benson, right?
Yes.
And in fact, Clint gave you a key.
Yes.
And you had that key to use at your discretion.
Yes.
And there were times when you would go to the house and Clint was not there and you would let yourself in, right?
I believe that my testimony covered that, and that was that Clint was aware that I was there, and he was either on his way or there with me.
But you agree with me, and you have videos, I believe, that back this up, that there were occasions where you would go to the house, Clint was not there, you'd use your key, and you'd go in.
Yes.
And there were occasions where you would be spending hours and hours and hours in the office, because I've
Yes.
watched all the videos,
Yes.
and you would be there alone without Clint anywhere around you.
Yeah, I don't need supervision, counselor.
Perfect.
I was conducting an investigation, independent investigation, and he had given me the key, trusted me with that, and I was authorized to enter the premises at will.
Right. So if he got on the stand and said you were never doing anything outside his eye, that would be false.
Well, from his perspective, he had knowledge of my presence there, as I have testified every time I was there.
Fair.
So from his perspective, it may look different.
But you agree with me, sir, that there's hours and hours and hours of video of you alone in that office going through things.
I think that I've already testified to that.
Okay. Now, you were not permitted access to the house until after Kouri had been arrested, right?
No, that's not correct.
You got in the house before she was arrested?
No, that is not correct.
Okay, help me out.
The house was released by the Summit County Sheriffs on the 8th. That's what gave us, that was the trigger, not Kouri's arrest. It was the end of their search that triggered our access to the house.
Okay.
The police were executing a warrant.
Do you know when Kouri was arrested, sir?
I don't recall the exact date or time.
Would it surprise you to be the day before May 7th?
Okay.
All right. So,
Objection, Your Honor, foundation on that.
Was
Would
it
you
May 8th?
re-ask the question, Ms. Nestor?
May 8th.
sorry, would it surprise you if it was the same day, May 8th, that you got access to the house?
It would not surprise me since I do not recall.
Okay. And during the time after Eric's death, but before Kouri's arrest on May 8th, did you ever go inside the house for that entire year?
I'm sorry, could you ask that again?
Sure. During the time between when Eric Richins died on March the 4th,
Yep.
in the early morning hours
Yep.
of 2022,
Yep.
and May 8th of 2023, Were you ever inside the house at any point in between those times?
No, never.
Perfect. So the first time you ever got in that house, over a year had expired since Eric had passed.
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned the police had executed a search that day before they released it to you, right?
Yes.
And do you know how many times prior to that the police had searched that house?
No.
Okay. And then you've also testified here, I think very honestly, that on repeated occasions you notified the police, hey, there's something you missed. You might want to go back to the house and find it again.
I mean, I'm not going to adopt your characterization, but it is true that I called them back to that house when I discovered something that I thought was evidentiary.
How many
Important.
times?
Oh, I don't know, 4, 5.
So on at least 4 to 5 occasions,
Yeah.
you found things the police had missed.
Yeah, oh, that's been my experience throughout my career.
And you
The
told
police
them,
never
sorry.
get everything, ever.
Right. Well, I'm
It's
not going to
true
argue.
in every case I've ever handled.
Sure, not going to argue with you on that one.
Yeah, it's true.
So they come back because you call them and say, hey, I found something, come back, here's where it is.
Yep.
And they know you're doing that. They know that you have full access to this house, right?
I don't know what they know. I
They-
can't answer that.
Well, you're calling them every time you find something.
Well, what opinion they formed in their mind is not within my knowledge.
Okay, fair. True, you called them every time you found something.
That I thought was of evidentiary value in their investigation.
And did
True.
any of them ever say, you know what, we're good, stop calling us?
No, I don't recall that at all.
So then the converse of that is they encourage you to keep doing that.
Well, no. That is not the converse of your hypothetical,
Okay.
and I do not agree with your assessment.
Okay? Did you feel like you were helping them?
I was following the instructions of my client to turn over anything I thought was relevant to the criminal investigation. This is not my case. My case is in the civil court. Anything that we thought was of value to the criminal case, we turned it over.
And the police were happy with that.
I don't know if they were happy or sad or distraught. I have no idea as to their emotional condition.
They sure never told you to stop.
The police never directed me to do anything, and if they had told me to stop, I would have ignored them.
Okay. So you could go in without a Warrant, find something, call them, tell them to get a warrant, and they'd come get it.
I think that's an oversimplification and a vilification. I had permission to enter those premises. I had every right to be there. I didn't need a warrant. I'm not a state actor. I have the permission of the property owner. So I don't agree with your characterization.
When the cops would show up, did you point out what you were showing them? Were you usually there?
No, I was there on one occasion when the police showed up. They executed warrants when I was not there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I only remember one occasion where I found an audio recorder in a dresser drawer that they then recovered by warrant.
And you waited around and pointed it out to them?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I never touched the device. So, yeah, I would have. I don't know if I pointed it out. I think what I did was, on that date, when I saw the recorder and recognized it for what it was, which is not easy, I just immediately withdrew. I left my audio recorder going until the police arrived. I don't recall pointing it out. I recall describing to them where it was.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. So then, there was one occasion where you found something that was a letter purportedly written by Eric called the My Princess letter. Do you remember that?
I remember a baby cakes letter. I don't know if I remember
That's it.
my princess. Is that the same
That's
one?
the one.
Yes.
You remember finding that letter?
August the 9th of 2024 is when I took a photograph of that, but I found it on May the 10th of 2023 during my search of the residence.
So, when you found this letter, at some point, did you move the location that you found it from?
I don't recall ever moving the location. On the video, you will see me find the letter on May the 10th of 2023 when I am in the bedroom, and it is located in the bottom drawer of Eric's side of the bed, the bottom drawer of the vanity. And I looked at it. I didn't think it was relevant. I put it back down on the drawer. On August the 9th of 2024, when I photographed it on the bed, I do not recall if that letter was on the bed or whether I went and retrieved it from the vanity. But there is video. The August 9th, 2024 was the episode that I described that I was called over and I didn't have a video recorder, so I was recording by audio, and this is the same date that I recovered the audio recorder, so the letter was also photographed, and then later, I think it was taken by the police, I don't know, but...
Let me stop you for just a minute.
Okay.
You left the letter on the master bed, correct? For the police to find.
I left the letter on the master bed. I didn't know that the police were going to come for it.
Okay. And they ultimately did, correct?
Well, ultimately, I don't know because I wasn't present, so that's beyond my knowledge.
Isn't it true that you moved other things around in that house often?
No, that is not true.
Did you move a computer that you located in the office?
I don't recall moving a computer in the office, but I did not move it out of the office.
Did you put it in your Tesla?
If you are talking about the C&E computer, I did not find it in the office. That is not how that worked.
Okay. So you found it where, sir?
I found it in possession of my client who had taken it, who had been given it or taken it from Becky Lloyd. So my understanding of the pathway of the C&E computer that I examined was that it was picked up by Becky, who lives nearby and works for C&E. The C&E computer, she then went to get business files off of it. I talked with her about this. I filed an extensive report regarding my interview about the computer. And then before I could get up to Francis to get that computer, I lived at the time 250 miles south of Francis in Washington County, so it takes me a while to get up to Francis. Before I could get up to get that computer, I believed that my client had already secured it, and so I went and got it from her.
So Becky got the computer from the house after Eric died,
Yep.
right?
Correct.
Then Becky gave it to Katie,
Correct.
and Katie gave it to you.
Correct.
And in all of that, no law enforcement ever put hands on it.
Correct.
And at some point, you took it back up to the office to go through it?
No.
Right. Well, there's video of you going through that computer in the office.
I suppose that I may not have remembered that I went through a computer in that office, but the C&E computer was processed at a location in Midway, and I recall that there was what I want to say is an obvious missing hard drive location. I could see the outlines of a hard drive that had been in place in that computer. I became suspicious that the hard drive had been removed prior to me getting to that computer. I later sourced that missing hard drive to an upgrade that was performed by a computer company at the request of C&E. The hard drive contents were transferred to a solid state drive, and I did locate that inside the computer.
Okay. So can we play for the witness only clip TG10?
We're going to play without sound, right?
Yes, sir. No sounds necessary.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of wait till we get to the computer part. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Can we bring that one down? That's the next one. We want to go to the one right before that, which is 173. It's GXO 10073. Do you have that one? Okay.
Excuse me, I'm having difficulty keeping my head up.
Oh, no worries. Whatever you need, sir, to be comfortable. Take a minute. Yep, I'll go back to that. It's going to take her a minute to upload that, Your Honor, so we'll get to that. You don't recall putting electronics documents in your Tesla and driving away from the house?
Oh, I remember that, yes.
Okay.
But that was not the C&E computer.
Okay, what computer was that?
I don't recall. I'd
So-
have to see the video.
So you
That's
were-
why I make them.
You removed a laptop from the office and put it in your Tesla and drove away with it?
I don't recall that, no. I do not. That would have been my, if there was a laptop in that office, it was mine.
Okay, well, we're going to pull it up in just a minute. I'll help
Fantastic.
refresh your memory.
Yeah.
Also, you mentioned earlier that you didn't take, other than the vital records and the attorney-client privileged records, that you didn't take anything else out of the home. That's not entirely true. You also took a safe out of the house?
Yeah, I described that by report, but that house, that safe was returned.
Okay, so you went into the house with your own key, correct?
Yes.
You went into the family, I believe is in the master closet, is that right? Where was it?
Yes.
You picked it up, took it out of the house, and put it in your Tesla.
Yes, I believe I did that at the request of Clint Benson.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then you drove it to a locksmith,
I did.
and you busted into the safe.
I did not bust into the safe.
Well, he did.
He bumped. He used a technique called bumping. It's the movement of the door and the frame of the safe that allows it to come open.
Okay, but you didn't have a combination.
I don't know if that was a combination. I thought there was a key to that one.
It was forced open with a hammer, right?
I think it was a rubber mallet, and it was dropped onto the ground.
Okay.
I think that's what eventually got it opened, was that it was dropped onto a flat surface.
And when you were doing that, there's no law enforcement there, correct?
I don't need law enforcement to babysit me.
Okay. And you open it up, and there's clips from guns in there, right?
I would have to go back to my report to recall exactly what was in there.
But you handled it with your bare hands, no gloves.
I did.
All right. And, I'm sorry. You also found an unusual residue in the safe. Do you recall that? That you touched with your fingers?
I don't recall that.
All right. We'll play that in a second.
Fantastic.
I do think we found the video of the laptop, so can we queue up for the witness only GXO 10073?
Yeah, that's my laptop. I am scanning into my laptop the documents that I am going through at the office. That is my laptop.
The black one?
Yes.
Okay. So you're scanning all the documents you're finding in the office and then loading them into your laptop.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and again, Clint Benson was not present when you were doing any of this.
Yes, that is my testimony on direct.
Okay. Now let's go to the one of the safe. Can you pull up the clip 100055? Hold on just a moment. 1055. See if you can find that one. Sorry. I think it might be under the impeachment documents. Nope. Okay. All right, we'll get the safe one up to refresh your memory about that residue. You don't remember touching some residue and filming it and asking the safe breaker if that was unusual to find residue in a safe?
I don't recall that. I would have to refer back to the video that I made of that for just this purpose.
Okay, no worries.